G'day, I'm Leslie Rice, and today on The Filter, we have a special, long-awaited chat with the two blokes behind what I'm told is Australia's oldest newspaper. According to the paper's historian, the Betoota Advocate has been reporting from Queensland's remote Channel Country since the mid-1800s. In an ambitious move, the paper went digital in 2014, and since then the Advocate has become an online media juggernaut, attracting not only strong readership across the country, but also the attention of politicians, celebrities, and breakfast TV.
Great to be on breakfast television. Is everyone happy with their salary?
With a national speaking tour in the pipeline, the paper's editors, homegrown Betoota boy Clancy Overell and Errol Parker, join me now to discuss the rise and rise of the Betoota Advocate. Okay, boys, well, welcome to the mix. I guess the first thing I want to do is congratulate you guys on the year that you've had. I mean, the Betoota Advocate seems to be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, we just had the idea one day. Well, it was our intern's idea, really. We were quite sceptical at the start to put the newspaper online, and it just went from a humble small town newspaper to being something that's quite widely read.
Yeah, we nearly sacked the intern for really speaking out of school there, suggesting that we should go online and do something like that. We were pretty comfortable with what we were doing, and we were happy with the last little swirl around the toilet bowl before the industry kind of died. But the internet did save us, and we figured out how to use it. And look, he moved on, and he's working somewhere else now up in Cairns. But we do thank Brendan, or whatever his name was, for giving us that idea.
Cameron. Someone, yeah.
So what's the staff of the Advocate now? How many work on this flourishing paper?
We have a full-time editorial staff of 57.
Okay.
We've got around a dozen in accounts. We've got a few working in the press. We've got Reggie, the receptionist.
It's a huge concern still.
It is.
You guys are still in print, yeah? I mean, obviously the digital thing hasn't taken over.
No.
So where does one get their hands on a physical copy of the Betoota Advocate?
Around the 3Bs, you'd go to Birdsville, Bullier and Betoota.
Okay.
We go as far east as Cunnamulla and as far west as Birdsville.
And very happy to launch Betoota's Australia. One of the good things about this satirical newspaper is they know they're a satire. Thank you very much and good luck.
Yeah, we'd just like to point out that it's independent regional news. We don't go by the term satire. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you.
How do you explain the popularity of Betoota amongst politicians? People from the Prime Minister and the Opposition Leader, Anthony Albanese, they're falling over each other to be interviewed for the Betoota Advocate. Why is that?
You'd be surprised how far you can get in this world just with having good manners.
And don't ever underestimate how willing a politician is to appear relevant.
I know.
Which none of them are. But we have a diverse readership, and people want to appeal to the people that we circulate to.
Who is that?
The greater Western Queensland, particularly Channel
Everyone
Country.
in town.
Everyone in town, but then again, people have picked up our newspaper online in different parts of the country, different parts of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear about these big media organisations. They go bankrupt, they go arse up. It's because you need to appeal to a wide range of people these days, and if you pour your cordial too strong, sometimes it won't quench your thirst.
So what do you guys consider to be the kind of finest moments? What are you proudest of that the Betoota Advocate has achieved in its, long history, but it's sort of relatively new to a lot of us. But what do you see as your kind of crowning glories?
When I got to write the obituary of my arch nemesis.
Oh, that's everybody's dream.
Yeah.
For us, I feel like, since, like you said, it's relatively new to you, and the time you discovered us was probably around the time Australia as a whole experienced a 24-hour news cycle. Yep. So things have been busy probably since you discovered us, and that includes some stories that everyone was across. There's not many stories like that in the news cycle often. Barnaby Joyce, everything that happened to him over the last 6 months, citizenship scandal to the new family. We were on that, and that was kind of a good news cycle for us because everyone was across it. Also the ball tampering scandal, of course. That was there was some good times for the Betoota Advocate.
So as Australia starts to become a stranger place, does the Betoota Advocate kind of rub its hands together? Is this like kind of, here we go, this is, Bob Catter alone must be worth 6 months worth of
Yeah, well, Bob's always been there. That's the thing too. You can't really fire a buckshot at Australia and get everyone. You've got to, and I think that's what we've done is we're able to kind of sit down with Bob or sit down with Di Natale and just talk to different people and bring out their their stories.
That's why we all worship Three Rivers Hotel.
He nailed it.
So let's talk a little bit about the state of media in Australia in general. I think the merger of, say, Fairfax and Channel 9, for instance. And we're wondering how that's going to sort of change the landscape. How does something like the Betoota Advocate, with its sort of long tradition, its long history, how does it view these kind of mergers? I mean, there's no merger for Betoota Advocate on the horizon, is there?
Endgame is we sell to Rupert, of course.
Okay. So what kind of numbers are we talking? What would Rupert have to sort of put on the table for you guys to kind of walk away from the Advocate?
I don't know.
I'm just a small town journalist.
Yeah. I reckon he'd have to pay me off the books a little bit to get the meeting to happen.
I see.
10 million would probably been valued at.
Okay.
But of course, when we hand it over to a media kind of empire like that, it'll go down the drain because they'll lose touch and it won't be as localised or personalised.
So one thing I kind of also want to discuss with you guys today is the idea of sort of fake news. It's it's everywhere these days, and I wonder, does it affect your day-to-day sort of working as a legitimate paper?
It is important for consumers to be educated on what is and isn't news.
Right.
But then again, if you want to talk about fake news, let's look at Domain. Let's look. Is that real news? Like the Sydney Morning Property Speculator.
But it doesn't claim to be news. I mean, the problem is when something that masquerades as news claims to be news but isn't news, it can sometimes trick people up. I mean, you have some people who can take things more seriously than they deserve to be taken.
Oh, most definitely, and that is really on the consumer of the news as well. If you're reading a newspaper where the logo is a crosshair, maybe even one of those all-seeing eyes,
Infowars
type thing, that's on you. That is on you.
So let's talk a little bit about satirical news. In Australia, you have websites like The Shovel. You have things like The Chaser. In the United States, they have The Onion. And this satirical news, it feels to me like it kind of muddies the water in that it plays the news game, but it can't be taken seriously. I think that kind of pays into the sort of cynicism and the apathy that leads to sort of fake news and people not knowing what they can trust. As sort of respected journalists who take their journalism seriously, making light of sort of heavy issues, do you feel like that's something that's sort of problematic?
I think it's all you can do in this world because everything's, this whole world's going down the toilet. So.
We're off the kilter. There's been Brexit. There's been Trump. You've got to laugh. You know.
Does a newspaper have a credo? Does it have a sort of a motto, a slogan? What's the newspaper about?
Yeah, we might actually follow up and get this tattooed while we're with you. Without fear or favour has always been a
independent sometimes.
Yeah, we aim to report with the authenticity of the salt and the Sunburn Channel country.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Now,